featuring astrologer Alok Khandelwal. I'm Priya, Shah, and I'll be your host for today. This is the first of a series of sessions that we'll be doing. We'll be doing them twice a month. And the purpose of these sessions is really to spread the knowledge of astrology, help answer any questions that you may have, bust any myths that may exist, as well as promote astrology in our lives and how we can use it in a practical and enriching way. For those of you who don't know me, a quick introduction. I'm Priya Shah. I'm based in New York, which is where I was born and raised. I have a degree in finance and investments, and I've been working in financial services for almost 20 years. I've been studying astrology for almost 15 years now, and I came across Astrology about 2 years ago, where I was introduced to Alokji, and I've been studying with him since then. I'm also a panel astrologer with Astrology, as well as a mentor to the junior incoming students. A quick note about Astrology as well. In 2016, Alok Khandelwal, along with his childhood friend and business partner, Mr. Shiv Prasad, established Astrology with the direction to lead this institute on the concept of super science and not superstition. The purpose of Astrology is really to promote the heritage and teaching of astrology, which has been a part of the Indian culture and tradition since the beginning of time. With the guidance of his father and guru, who was also a businessman and also an astrologer, Mr. Khandelwal went on to establish a fact-based astrology medium on a global platform. So without further ado, I would like to invite Alokji while I briefly introduce him. Mr. Alok Khandelwal is known for his deep knowledge in astrology, as well as his many contributions to the fields of palmistry, numerology, and Vastu. He possesses multiple degrees, including an MBA in marketing, an MA in psychology, and in economics. But he found his true love and calling teaching astrology to his students. He is among the prominent voices in Vedic astrology across the globe, but the love and respect that he receives from his students as well as his clients is a testament to the knowledge that he brings to the field. So welcome, Alokji. I know that this is our very first session together, so I'm very, very excited to have you. Thank you for making the time to join us. We've received a number of questions from students across the world. So if it's okay with you, I know our time is limited, we can jump right in.
Yes, we can right now jump on it. And thank you very much for this nice introduction, Priya. And I hope both of us will do justice with all the students answering their questions.
Great.
So you can shoot right away.
Okay, perfect. So, you're obviously a very talented astrologer. You have students across the world. You're well respected by your clients, and you bring a lot of passion to the teaching of astrology. So, what made you fall in love with astrology in the first place?
So I have done so many sessions before this session, Priya. But nobody asked me this question. Do you know this?
Leave it to me.
It was left to you.
Yeah.
So I was interested into all these sciences before I started into Jyotish, and I was reading psychology, I was reading philosophy also, and then finally when I started learning Jyotish or astrology, then the answer came. Right, so the answer start coming to me because psychology also is a very great science, and then everything is fine, but sometimes you stuck into the answers, right? And Jyotish came as an answer and a spiritual development. So 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 I fall in love because I started growing into this.
Right.
Whereas other sciences like economics, management, and astrology, psychology is very good, but you don't grow internally in these sciences. So Jyotish for me is not only a medium of prediction, but it is basically a spiritual progress which you can make in your life when you learn Jyotish. This is how it started. And as you know, I mean, everybody knows that you never know when you fall in love with someone, right? You simply fall. That's why they call it you are falling, right? So it's a very steep fall. So I came to know when after so many years that I have already started falling in love in Jyotish, but that suddenly happened.
Yeah. That's great. And it's true. There's something about this subject that just draws you in, and you can't help but fall in love with it, because the more you study it, it's very addictive, and you
Very,
can't stop. So
yes,
I
it's
get
very.
that. I actually started learning astrology about 15 years ago, but when I started to learn astrology, I started learning Western astrology. But then quickly I moved to Vedic astrology because that's what resonated with me a lot more. And so I wanted to ask you, what are some of the differences between Western astrology and Vedic astrology? And do you use Western at all in your practice? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So if you see, Priya, all the all the cultures have astrology, right? So Western countries also have astrology, even Muslim countries and everywhere. So it is everywhere. Now the basic difference between Vedic astrology or Indian astrology and Western astrology is like they use sidereal, we use tropical charts, and then the difference which I found in Western astrology and Indian astrology is, so Western astrology, what they did basically is they stuck into only transits.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more about behavioral astrology. So they took astrology as an extension part of psychology, right? So it is more about how a Leo person will be, how a Capricorn person will be, or what is happening today if Sun is entering into Leo, or maybe Jupiter is entering into Leo, what is going to happen in this month.
Mm-hmm.
So and then some of the astrologers in Western countries, they did remarkable jobs into into Western astrology and helped a lot of people, millions of people, right? You live in America, and America is the second largest country after India interested in astrology,
Right.
right? And there are so many Vedic astrologers also in America. So many
Right.
Vedic astrologers doing great job. I don't use Western in my practice, because the basic difference which I found um, in Vedic astrology and Western is, we are very old, we are very authentic. I am not saying that Western is not authentic, but since a lot of research work is done into Vedic astrology, and then we have Dasha system
Yeah.
and yogas, and then a deeper understanding as a spiritual science, which Western lacks it. So that's why in my practice, I've learned Western astrology, but I normally don't use that practice into my prediction technique. I found Vedic is a very deeper impact on human lives. The sidereal charts, or the charts which is used in Western astrology, we use them for mundane astrology, not on humans. So
Yeah.
that is also a relevant chart, but it is more impactful on the mundane astrology.
Yeah. Yep. And when I started to learn Western astrology, when I quickly moved to Vedic, I also found that it was so much deeper, and to get the most precise predictions, the dasha systems, looking at things from both the lagna as well as the moon chart, the divisional charts, all made a very big difference and really refined those predictions.
Correct, and we are not limited to only to the behavioral aspect of human. That we the objective of Vedic astrology is to grow our soul, right?
Yes.
So that we can understand why we are on this planet.
Right.
This is a very vast definition of astrology when I talk about Vedic astrology.
Yep. So one of the questions as a student and a practitioner of astrology that we often get asked is, where does astrology stop and where does free will come in? And so, can you talk a little bit about that? Is everything predetermined? Like, what role do we have in breaking through our karma, and how can astrology help us with that?
So it's a basically a myth that everything is fixed,
Right.
right? If everything is fixed, then I mean, as a human, there is nothing required as an intelligence. We don't need intelligence. We don't need any action.
Right.
But yes, there are something which are fixed. Now, astrology works as a GPS. Now, GPS doesn't decide where you are going. GPS is basically, you put a data into GPS and ask him to ask GPS to guide you where you are going, right? So it's a science which is indicative and which is basically a guiding force. Now, coming back to your question on whether everything is fixed or there is some free will. Even in Jyotish also, even in astrology, in Vedic astrology, we say third, sixth, 10th, and 11th. These are the houses of free will, where
Mm-hmm.
you can change. Now, if you talk about third house, obviously it is like in what actions you are taking, your professions, your discipline, and your desire fulfillment. These four things, or maybe income, these four things can be into your control. So if you make a percentage also, then 33% are the of our life is we can change. We can easily change by our effort. Second is, since it is a GPS, and you have to understand this, that all the data which we have done in the last birth, so many births,
Mm-hmm.
not the immediate last birth, is captured into these planets. So the way when you are taking a right turn from a road is taking you somewhere else. You are taking a left turn is taking you somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why 10th house is so important. So you take a right turn, then the right turn data will be flashing. If you are taking a left turn, the left turn data will be flashing. So it is more about our choices, the choices which we make, and then that data from the last birth will be coming into the picture. So
Yeah.
it's a combination. The life is a combination of free will and destiny
Yeah.
both.
Is it fair to say that we come into this birth with certain, um, tendencies based on our past karma, but at any point we can break through that through our, free will, through our own efforts? There's certain things that are fixed, but there are also things that we have a choice in, and that we can change and we can alter. And astrology just helps us, gives us indications, but it doesn't dictate our lives.
That's true, 100%. That's why we have a existence of remedies. Otherwise, there is no need of
Right.
remedies also. If
Right.
everything is fixed, then I cannot change through remedies also.
Yeah.
But that is in our tradition, and for millions of years, and not only in Indian tradition, in all the religion, all the traditions of the world, there are some remedies which is being suggested to natives so that they can improve the quality of their life.
Yeah.
So if there are diseases, there are medicines also.
Right. All is not lost. All is not lost. So I wanted to talk about some themes that we're seeing. So this is definitely a theme that we're seeing in the States, but I would say that it's applicable worldwide. One of our favorite topics is marriage. And we've noticed that people are getting married later and later. Is there an astrological significance to this? What's causing this, and how can we see this in a particular birth chart?
So that's true. I mean, earlier, before 50 years, 60 years in India, the average age of marriage is 20 years, 18 years. Even people get married at the age of 10 years, 6 years, 5 years, 12 years, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now it is being shifted. Now, what happens on a broader perspective, if you see, Priya, right now, when I see horoscope of kids, so I mean, if we see horoscope of kids, I can see that they most of them are basically, most of them are, I don't know whether Priya you are still there or not, but uh, I think I should wait for you.
I got dropped. Ah, there we go.
So
Okay, I'm here.
yeah, so the charts are the reflection of the societies. So at this moment, those kind of souls are here on this planet, that those souls are basically wants to get married, because the society is changing. That's why it is, the chart will reflect that people wants to get married late in their life. And that is the thing which me and you every day sees, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays we see a chart of say 25 years, 30 27, 30 years old. They're still thinking about marriage because the right dasha, the time has not arrived. So because if the time has arrived, not everybody is getting married at the age of 40 or 38. The time, most of the people are not getting the right time at this moment. So it is basically reflecting the society which we are right now living in.
So So speaking about marriage, I know that another favorite topic, and one that's on a lot of minds, is about being Manglik. And so, if you're Manglik, can you only marry someone who's Manglik? And how should we interpret this in a chart? And what would you tell people who are Manglik and are afraid of this?
So it's not a very, so Mangal is a planet of energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when two people get married, it is a matter of energy, right? You call it synergy. When you are into a relationship, you call it synergy, right? Or frequency. But Mars is fire. Now, fire creates desire. So obviously, it should be matched.
Right.
It is good if a Manglik is getting married to a Manglik. Otherwise, it doesn't work that way that the spouse will die or maybe they will have a very terrible married life. But there is a difference between the desire, because marriage is something where two people are walking on the same path. So it
Yeah.
is very important that they are into sync regarding their thought process of how they are taking their lives together. Now, what happens when a Manglik doesn't marry to a Manglik? There is a discrepancy in two things. One is the physical relationship, and second is the thought process, or maybe the things which I want to have in my life and my spouse. There can be a difference of opinion in these two things. So ideally, when it's a matter of love, arranged marriage, I always consider that okay, Manglik should marry a Manglik. But in a society like US, where arranged marriage is not something which you normally opt for, then there are so many other remedies which can work.
Right.
So, so it can be cured through Jupiter. It can be cured through Saturn also.
Great.
That
Great. Great. So I want to switch gears a little bit, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the transits that are taking place currently in the cosmos. And so we have two big planets at the moment, Saturn and Jupiter, Shani and Guru, which are both retro. And so, what does this mean about the energy that's currently existing? How can we use this energy for our benefit? And how can it support us? And also, what should we expect when these two planets go direct?
so it happens every year. Number one,
Mm-hmm.
that Saturn and Jupiter goes retrograde, and mostly they will be retrograded almost at the same time, because 4 months, 6 months is a period. So that there will be times when both of them are retrograde. Now Jupiter was into a very high speed before it gets retrograde this year. So you can say when it is so when it transit into Pisces, it was into a very high speed, normally high speed than its normal speed. So it's you can say that Jupiter is resting now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like looking back. Retrogression means it is looking back what he has done in the last 2 months, last 3 months. So and you can say it is charging, right? When you are looking back, it
Right.
is charging. And same time Saturn is also retrograde. Whenever Saturn is retrograde, what happens is your efforts are not rewarded right away. So it's basically Saturn is testing. So people can experience delays. People can experience that the manifestation of action which they want to happen, it is not happening. But this is a great time when both of these planets are retrograde. It is a great time to invest in knowledge, because when Jupiter is retrograde, it is a very strong Jupiter, which is basically preparing itself to bless you, right? So when it goes direct, it will bless you, but that will depend what you do during the retrogression, right? What you do, it's like the teacher is checking the papers,
Right.
right?
Can
So
we
yeah,
can we think about it as sort of a time for do-over also, and maybe a time of reflection when these planets are retro? Do you see that people tend to go back, reflect on things, correct things, and then go on, and when the planet becomes direct, they're able to maybe accomplish something that they haven't been able to do on the first try, or that's been held up for some time?
that's how it happens, right? When you are the planet is into retrospection, the native also is into retrospection.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you have to see what mistakes, or maybe what you have done which needs some correction or some investment, some more focus. And obviously when it will be both of them will be directed, then we will be rewarded. This is very simple. So retrogression is not something which we should be afraid of. That it's a very difficult phenomenon to handle. But yes, delays, disappointment, and repetition. These are the three things. Whether Jupiter is also a benefic or Saturn is a malefic, but three things will happen: delays, disappointments, and repetition. So when it gets direct, then most of the people, if they are waiting for something to happen, they should wait for that time. Then
Yeah.
it will happen.
So retrogration is such a popular topic, and so I want to continue on this theme a little bit longer. Most people have at least one planet that's retro, especially because these planets tend to be retro for a long time. So how can we think about interpretation when we look at a birth chart and we see that a planet is retro? Does this planet have more strength than planets that are not retro? You know, how do we look at this in a chart?
So the concept which of retrogression is, when a planet is into retrogression, it is very near to the Earth. So if something is very near to you, it can make a lot of impact on you, much more impact than the other things in the same room, right? In the same room. So that is true, that if a planet is into retrogression, then it is very strong. And one planet in retrogression is very good in your chart, because it is getting extra strength. So that planet can basically pull you towards it. And obviously, when too many planets are retrograde in a chart, then it creates a lot of confusion and hallucination. But one planet retrogression, at least you have a passion, because retrograde planet is very passionate. He is very determined that he wants you to perform certain tasks, and he is not going to leave you. So people who are very passionate, they generally have one retrograde planet, depending upon which planet it is. But one retrogression, good. Many retrogression, confusing.
Does it eventually give you the result? Because it makes you do things over and over. It makes you put a lot of effort in. But in the end, does it actually?
It definitely gives result. See, the retrogression is creating a strong impression in my mind that I want to do this thing come what may. I will be failed two times, three times, but I will again do it. Right? And when you do something with that passion, it has to give you result. So retrogression will not ultimately disappoint you, but yes, you will experience the results in the second half of your life, not the first half.
And what does it mean about our past lives? If we have come into this birth with a retro planet, does it give us any insight into maybe if we have Venus retro, if we have Mars retro, what does this mean about what we did in the past?
So it is basically mostly related with the last life, because anyways the principle says that the planet is basically moving backward means we are also going backward in the last. So for example, somebody has got Venus into retrogression. That means it is a very strong Venus, but you have to do two Venus or maybe three Venus, right? That means the person can marry two times or three times. Why it happens? Because in the last birth, maybe two people wanted to marry you, or maybe you were dating two people together, and then you you were able to marry only one person. That person is still not satisfied whom you were dating with. So that karma you have to finish in this birth.
Hmm.
That's why you have to do two things, three things. So every retrograde planet has got minimum two, maximum three, right? And it's pending from the last birth. So in the first half of your life, what you will do, you will get rid of that loan.
Yeah.
Then, since you are a finance executive, you understand, I mean, that you have to pay that EMI first, that loan first, and then you will start uh, paying to the principal amount, which is in this birth. So normally, retrogression will increase the date of that planet, years of that planet. For example, if it is Saturn, then it can uh, give you results after 40, because 36 is the age.
And what about Jupiter? Jupiter, because so many people have Jupiter retro as well, given, Jupiter and Saturn are both planets that are retro half the year.
Jupiter retrogression means there is a very strong desire of getting more wisdom.
Mm.
Very strong desire. In the last words, you were supposed to get wisdom, but you somehow misguided. So you didn't catch that opportunity. Now when you died in the last birth, in your soul or in your mind, you were very determined that I want to get more knowledge, more wisdom. That's why people who have got Jupiter into retrogression, you will find them great seeker. They will be like passionate about learning or maybe higher knowledge, not normal learning like mathematics or chemistry, but they will be interested into higher knowledge. It's a very strong Jupiter. But yes, anything which is into retrogression, that knowledge is not for you. You have to give it to others, because you are not the you are you are not eligible for that knowledge, because you were eligible in the last birth. You are not in this birth. You are just paying off, and then you have to transfer this knowledge. That's why you will see people who have got a lot of retrogression. They become great consultants, right? Because anything which they are getting in this life, they will have to give it to others.
Right.
Have you experienced this?
Yep. Well, I've definitely experienced retro planets. I've also noticed people who have Jupiter retro tend to be great consultants. I also have Venus retro, so forget 2 or 3 marriages. I can't even seem to get one, but that's a different story.
Yes. So it's like testing time. Venus is testing.
Yeah. So we've received a few questions from some of our more advanced students, and so I wanted to switch topics and talk a little bit about some of the more intermediate subjects. So the first one is around Virgotam planets. And so what does it mean if a planet is Virgotam? Is the energy of that planet more pure than some of the other non-Virgotam planets? And what if a planet is Virgotam but debilitated? Is it completely hopeless? Like, how do we look at all this in a chart?
So first we need to understand what is Vargottama. Vargottama is like the planet is into the same sign in Janma Lagna, ascendant, or in the D9. Now what is Janma Lagna? It is my body, right? What is D9? It is my subconscious mind, inside, right? So we have 3 layers, right? So body, mind, and then soul. So you can say that Navansha can be a soul. Now, if a planet is into Vargottama, that means from the body level, mind level, soul level, the planet is transferring the same energy. That means that planet will give you all the qualities of him to that person. For example, somebody has got Jupiter Vargottama, that means Jupiter can transfer all the qualities of Jupiter in that person. Now, if a debilitated planet is Vargottama, that means also it will give all the qualities to that person, but into debility. That means a planet who is niche Vargottama or debilitated Vargottama is not very good. It's, you said the right word. It is hopeless.
Yeah.
Because you cannot help it. Inside out, it is same. So sometime you must have felt that okay, somebody is very poor into the class, but they do great into the career, right? So they will use that education which they didn't give much attention in the class in their career. That means the planet is bad into Janma Lagna but strong into Navansha, right? But if it is bad into Janma Lagna and bad into Navansha, that means you don't have any quality of that graha. It becomes a deficiency in you. That's why it becomes bad planet.
And can we say with the same token that if a planet is Virgotam exalted, right, exalted in both, then nothing can stop that planet, and that planet is on a mission to give you the very best.
So it is exalted, that means it has become a very benefic, and then it is on the top. Same time you accept the knowledge of that planet as very natural. So any exalted Vargottama, you know the qualities, you have the qualities of that planet naturally. So it's effortless.
Right.
So something which is effortless, obviously, and spontaneous, you will be rising in that domain, whatever the domain is, because it comes naturally to you. The planet is just showering the blessing. So that becomes a super duper nothing. Nobody can stop that planet if it is a Ucha Vargottama or exalted Vargottama.
Right.
Do you have any planet exalted Vargottama?
I do not, but I definitely have a niche one. Mars, niche,
Four parts.
forgettable, hopeless. That's okay.
Mm.
So we have this concept of dashas in Vedic astrology, and so this is a question I've thought a lot about, which is you start your life in a particular dasha of a particular planet. Does that mean that you ended your life, in your previous birth on that dasha and you're just continuing, or does it not work like that? And also the planet that you start your life with, if you were born in sun, Mahadasha, Rahu, what does that planet say about the purpose of this life and what you're here to do? Does it have a significance?
So yes, the answer to the first question is some people think that the dasha which I am starting this life in is the continuation of the last dasha, which is not correct, because we have different purpose in each lifetime. So maybe I just wanted to rest and then start new, right? After the last birth death, I just wanted to rest. I said, okay, the mission of this life is completed. Now I want to start new, but I don't want to start in the same continuation. For example, if I have ended in Ketu, so it doesn't mean that I got suppressed in my emotions, so I wanted to start in Venus. Maybe I was enjoying celibacy, so I don't want to start it with Venus. Maybe I can restart with Ketu also, because I want to continue that experience, right? So that is not correct. Second is, obviously, when you started your life on this planet, and the Dasha planet is a very important planet, because that is the beginning of this life. So obviously it will tell you the agenda. What is your life agenda? So we calculate not on the basis of planet, we calculate on the basis of placement and ownership, because that is the main agenda. So planet can be Surya or Sun also, maybe Moon also, but which lordship it has, where it is placed, whether it is with any planet or it is aspected with any planet. These are the focus point of this lifetime. Even Priya, not only the birth dasha, in any dasha, when it starts, you call it the beginning of the dasha. In Sanskrit, you call it dasha arambha.
Hmm.
The day when the dasha has started is very important. That will tell you the entire result of that dasha.
The not just your birth dasha, but
Both
even
dasha.
as you move on. So the
Yes, yes,
day that a particular mahadasha starts says something.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
that's very
So
interesting.
that on that day we create a chart that is called dasha arambha chart, and we will
Okay.
see the position of that planet. For example, you are running into Surya dasha, you're starting in Surya dasha. So, and today you are starting. So I'll create a chart today, and I'll see where is Surya, and then how is the lagna, where Surya is doing. That will also give me indication what kind of experience you will have, because beginning of anything is very important.
Right. So in that case, the day that you're born must also have a significance, right? If you're born on a Monday, if you're born on a Saturday, if you're born on a Wednesday, like what does that mean?
I mean, in God's software, there is no errors, right? So we are not just simply thrown away. So when I landed on this planet, you landed on this planet. The day, the tithi, I mean, in Sanskrit, tithi, the whole everything is very important, because in classics you will find that if you are born on Sunday, then you can be very king sort of, right? You can have good health. If you are born on Tuesday, Monday, every desire will be fulfilled. If you are born on Saturday, you have to go away from your family and then earn money, like that way. Because obviously day, the most important is time. That means ascendant, right?
Right.
Then second is day, right? And then hora,
Mm-hmm.
in which hora you were born. So these all have significance, and when we start reading the chart, we will just have a look at which day the person was born, which Hindu day the person was born.
Mm-hmm.
These everythings are very important.
So what about the concept of Atmakarka, right? That so all of these things have some significance in our lives. And so this concept of Atmakarka, first of all, how can we figure out which planet is our Atmakarka planet? What does that signify in our chart? And do you consider Rahu and Ketu as Atmakarkas as well?
So Atmakarka is obviously very important, and it is a unique concept of Vedic astrology again. So Atmakaraka is the planet who has got the highest degree in your chart. What does it mean? When you were born, that planet was traveling to the maximum of that Rashi, right? Maximum of that Rashi. That means you have the maximum karma related with that planet, right? So, for example, if you have got Saturn Atmakaraka, that means you have got maximum karma related with Saturn. So, Atmakaraka is the king of your chart. He is ruling you, not you are ruling the Atmakaraka. The Lagna is not ruling the Atmakaraka because it is soul Karaka, significator of the soul. So we mean driven by soul, consciously or unconsciously. We think that we are driven by mind, right? But we are basically souls and we have a soul agenda. And Atmakaraka will take you towards his agenda. What he wants you to do, you will do the entire life what he wants you to do, right? You will think that you are taking decision from the Lagna Lord or you are thinking in the mind, but the Atmakaraka is the topmost planet in the chart. And yes, I consider Rahu as a Atmakaraka, but not Ketu, because Ketu has no life. So Rahu can be the Atmakaraka, uh, but you have to calculate in the reverse order because it is always retrograde, right? So, and then there is a concept when two planets are nearby in the same degree, then they consider Rahu as a Atmakaraka. So it is like 7 planet scheme, and it is the second scheme is 8 planet, including Rahu. So Maharishi Gemini has considered Rahu as a Atmakaraka. So you can consider Rahu as a Atmakaraka.
So you're saying if you have Rahu with another planet and they're both the same degrees, then you would take Rahu?
For example, Jupiter and Mercury are almost same degree, 27 degree 30 minutes. One is 27 degree 20 minutes, right? So this is one principle where they consider, since two planets are sitting on the same chair, they will include Rahu as counting in the Atmakaraka. Doesn't matter, Rahu should be the highest degree, right? So highest degree you will calculate towards the, but the simplest principle is 8 significator, right? So eight planet scheme, where if Rahu is the highest, you will consider Rahu as a.
Okay, got it. There was a question that flashed on the screen from one of our audience members, so we can take that. I believe they asked, what does it indicate to have 5 planets in the 12th house?
So it's very difficult to answer that way because 5 planets in 12th house, but
which ones?
Generally it will be, yes, number 1 and their lordship, right? So generally it is considered, but in any house, if there are so many planets, so it's like a 12 houses. So much of weight is coming in one house. So obviously that is in the focus. That house can be broken.
Right.
If I put so much of weight on this chair, the chair can be broken. Yeah. Right? But in general sense, I can say if you have got so many planets in the 12th house, you are here to give.
Yeah.
So you have to give. You have to serve people.
Okay. So one other a question that's flashed on, and then I'll go back to some of the other questions. Can you talk about Jupiter retro and debilitated? So you've already talked a little bit about retro planets, but if a retro planet, and we'll generalize this for our audience here, if a planet is retro but debilitated, and vice versa, if a planet is retro but exalted, how does that change the retroness of that planet?
So Rishi Parashar has said that retrogration has got more power, right? So obviously if a planet is into exaltation, that means he is already sitting on the top. Mm-hmm. So you are already standing on Mount Everest. Now if it is retrograde, then you are jumping from the Mount Everest, because you are already on the top, exalted. So you are jumping from Mount Everest. What you will do? You will fall, right? So that means an exalted retrograde will give you a result finally as a debilitated. Finally. So in most of the part of your life, you will enjoy exaltation of that planet, but that exaltation will not be useful for you. It is a waste. Same way, when a planet is debilitated and retrograde. Debilitated means Nietzsche. Nietzsche means it is down, very down. but it has a very strong desire to uplift you,
Mm.
because retrogression is giving you chestabal, right? The desire to do something. That means it will stand on its own feet, and then it will give you the Raj Yoga. That's why they say that debilitated retrograde is working as exaltation. It is not exalted, it is working as exalted. But you have to go through the debilitation.
Yeah.
That means you have to experience debility of Jupiter in
Right.
your life. Then you will learn, and then you will go on the top. But again, retrogression, second portion of your life,
Can
not
we?
in the first.
So and I'm sure you've seen this with a number of people. I've certainly seen this. Sometimes people are struggling with things in their life. It doesn't matter whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, whether it's about their finances, whatever it is. But at the very last minute, somehow there's some kind of solution that always comes to them, right? They're saved at the last minute, and everyone's just like, how does this happen to this person all the time? Are they just lucky? But they actually are suffering through, and at the very minute there's some saving grace that comes in. Is that what you're just talking about, or is that a different phenomenon?
So yes, it is. You can say it is a kind of Viprit Raj Yoga.
Yeah.
So they are into
Yeah.
Viprit, in that means they are into difficult situation, and then finally they will bounce back. And same happens with debility retrogression. Same happens. But debility retrogression is a longer duration because it is a learning. Retrogression means learning. So
Right.
maybe you can struggle into getting to understand things. Jupiter into debility means the comprehension is weak, but you are getting through a lot of misery because of this, and then you have started learning. Then you become a master. Like the way you see in US, people who have suffered from a particular problem, maybe abuse,
Mm-hmm.
maybe cancer, they will go and then guide people about that disease when they will recover from this. Have you seen this happening?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What does it mean? It is debility retrogression. She has suffered cancer, survived cancer, and now educating people
Right.
about how to get rid of cancer. It is a debility retrogression.
Right. Right. And also notice that people who have Jupiter retro, there, if they are teachers, their styles tend to be a little bit different. Um, than the normal sort of, you come in and they teach you, you leave. No, they have a slightly different style that is quite appreciated, and may not be mainstream. And so I think it's probably applicable to all planets for their association.
It is with all the planets, because retrogression means that the planet is not following sun. That means the planet is not
Right.
following rule. So
Right.
when Jupiter is into retrogression, the teacher is not orthodox teacher,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And then very strong desire to do this because of retrogression, right? So they are the teachers who will be like focusing more on student, but the style will be very different because they will not follow the rules. They will not follow the Surya or the sun. Normal, come in the class, take attendance, and then teach and then go. They will not do. They can be very liberal with the students because they want to grow them. The style can be obviously different, and that happens with all the retrograde planets.
Right. So I want to talk a little bit about Rahu and Ketu. Um, Rahu and Ketu are, I'm quite fascinated by them. And I've noticed even in your lectures and in your classes, whenever you teach Rahu and Ketu, we get the most amount of questions. Like that topic just gets everyone really intrigued. So, what is it about Rahu and Ketu that makes these planets so mysterious? Why do they draw people in, and what can you teach us about these two planets when we're looking at a birth chart?
Um, People get fascinated about Rahu Ketu because they are mysterious. Number one, because as per Vedic Jyotish, they don't exist. They are just nodes of the moon. So these are the black areas of our life, which like unknown areas, whether it is Rahu or whether it is Ketu. These are the unknown areas of our life. And as a human, we are always attracted towards unknown. We are always attracted towards unknown, right? And Rahu, because of Rahu, you have taken birth, because Rahu is desire, and all of us has taken birth only to fulfill some desire. That desire can be even for the betterment. You want to serve the society. That can be also one desire. So we have taken birth. So Rahu, the direction of Rahu is downward. Rahu is basically pushing us to come on this planet and experience, maybe good or bad, the life. Ketu's direction is upward. Ketu wants us to give moksha. So now these two brothers are just opposite to each other. Now the problem is they will pull you from either. I mean, they want that Rahu wants you should come to Rahu, Ketu wants you should come to Ketu, and they are basically churning us. So that's why we get attracted, or maybe we get indulged into something because of Rahu, and then we get distracted because of Ketu.
Right.
So life, if you see from my eye, is between Rahu and Ketu, because Rahu sent us here, Ketu wants us to go there. So that's why they are very fascinating, and these are the planets. When they give you something, even the sun cannot take, because Rahu eclipse sun. So they are very strong. They are very auspicious also sometimes. Very auspicious also. It is not that they are always bad.
What about and part of what we want to do with these sessions is bust any myths that may exist. And so, talking about Rahu Ketu, like sometimes we hear, things about Kal Sarp Yog and all that. Like, is that something to be worried about? Because there are plenty of people, including celebrities, who have this combination or this yoga in their chart, who are incredibly successful. And so what can you share with us about Kal Sarp Yog, and how do we look at this? Is there any significance to this?
So I don't give much importance to Kal Sarp Yoga. But yes, I give that importance that all the planets are with Rahu Ketu. Now, if you see as a layman, what happens when there is a Kal Sarp Yoga? 6 houses are completely vacant, and 6 houses have got all the planets. Minimum six, right? Minimum.
Right.
Sorry, maximum six.
Maximum.
Right. So that I can say that if I take a chart as the complete energy of the person, then he is focused more about the 50% aspect of the life. 50% aspect of the life, and then the 50% aspect is lacking in the energy. So that's why these people who have got Kal Sarp dosh, which I don't believe much in, they will be super focused into something in their life, and they will be completely naive into some aspect of their life. That's why when they get the direction in their life, they will be on the top, because they will be very passionate about doing something. For example, somebody got a direction that they want to become, he should become a singer, and he has a Kal Sarp yoga. Nobody can beat that singer, because that is the energy of Rahu, because Rahu is like very powerful.
Right.
So it is not something which you should be afraid of. I don't give much importance, but yes, I give that importance that these people are extremely focused. It is a possibility that they are extremely focused about a bad thing.
Right.
But
Right.
that again depends upon the energy of Rahu, aspect, conjunction, and everything.
And the houses.
So as a yoga, yes. So as a yoga, I don't give much importance to this.
So I wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk about, one of the beautiful aspects about Vedic astrology, a little bit different than Western astrology, is that we have all these divisional charts. And I don't think, having been in your classes and having, been learning astrology for all these years, I don't think we can look at a birth chart without looking at the divisional charts, especially the D9 or the Navamsha. And so, how do you use the Navamsha chart? And for those of us who don't know what a Navamsha chart is or a D9 chart is, what do you use it for? What does it tell you? In addition to what the birth chart tells you, and what types of things can it tell you? Can it tell you about special skills that someone's born with? What do you look for?
So obviously, you have rightly said that you cannot see the birth chart without a D chart, specifically Navansha. So I see Navansha for everything. So I don't make any prediction without looking at the Navansha. Number one. Number two, Navansha has two things. One, we can consider that it is derived from the birth chart. So I will see it with the addition of the birth chart. Number one. Number two, I will see Navansha as a standalone chart. Right. So obviously all these things which you are talking about, that it can give you some skills, or some bad skills, or some good skills, or some tendencies, or some inherent thought which nobody is exposed of other than you, can be seen in the Navansha. But I see Navansha and Janmalagna together. So because Navansha is a chart of Bhagya, it is a chart of fortune, right? So any planet which wants to give you something, I will see the quantum of that blessing which a planet wants to give you in the Navansha. So if the fortune of that planet is not great, it can show you a lot of thing in the Janma Lagna. It can promise a lot of things, but finally delivery depends upon the quality of placement and the Rashi of that planet in the Navansha. That's why it is very important. Same way, it is very important to see other charts for other aspect of our life, like as you mentioned, about D10 for career or maybe D7 for kids,
Children.
everything. But they have less important because they are only specifically for career or maybe for child or for properties or for education. But Navansha itself is a Lagna chart, right? Itself is a Lagna. So Navansha should be always seen with any, and I always use Navansha. You have seen it. I
Yeah.
always use Navansha and I'll check it what a planet is doing in Navansha.
And one of the other things that I think Vedic astrology does that's a little bit different than Western is we give so much significance to the moon, right? We actually have an entire chart that we look, so we have the Lagna chart, but then we also look at things from the moon chart. And so why do we do this? Why this emphasis on the moon? Does this go back to, certain traditions? Because even something like Raj Yogs, as we've learned in class, are not uh, able to fructify if moon doesn't bless it. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So obviously, for example, you know that you have to go to office Monday morning, right? And whether you are liking it or not, you have to go.
Mm-hmm.
This action you will take from your Lagna chart, because
Right.
Lagna is your intelligence. So intelligence will tell you, Priya, come on, get up, go to your office, because it is Monday morning. You have an important meeting to attend. But it is a possibility that you are not at all liking it, right? That's why moon chart is very important, because it is telling me about the liking and disliking of that person. As a human, we have to do a lot of things in our life which we generally don't like. The good part of the life is something which my intelligence, my lagna is showing, and I love it. I'm loving it.
Right.
That is the synthesis of moon chart and the birth chart, right? So moon chart is equally important, because in day-to-day life we live through our mind, right? Because we are mood oriented. All of us are mood oriented. Second is moon is considered as a society, because moon society is what? Society is the mind of so many people, right? That's why we say what the other people will say. Why they will say something about you? Because they are thinking about you. That means it is in the mind of other people. So it is like moon is lord in the fourth house, public, in the Kalpurus chart. So if the public is not liking you, if the public is not thinking that Priya is a great astrologer, Priya cannot become a great astrologer.
Right.
She can be a great astrologer at home, right? So maybe I know that Priya is a very good astrologer. Your mom knows, your father knows, your friend knows. But if you want to have a Raj Yoga as an astrologer, that means you are known to everybody that Priya is a good astrologer. More people, so many moons, right? So many minds has to accept this, that Priya is a good astrologer. That's why any Raj Yoga denied by moon, denied by the society, denied by the public is no Raj Yoga. That skill or that maybe the wealth is only for you. People don't consider you wealthy.
Right.
Then they will not respond to you as a wealthy person.
So how do we know if the moon is giving us that blessing? Does that Raj Yoga that you have in your Lagna chart have to repeat itself from the moon chart?
At least it should be the planet who are giving you the Raj Yoga should be well placed in the moon chart. So the moon is into the sync with those planets.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And number two is obviously we see a lot of Raj Yoga, especially from the moon. Like the Gaj Kesari is the biggest Raj Yoga which we talk about.
Yeah.
Right?
Can you talk a little bit about that? If you have the Gajkesari Yoga in your chart, what does that signify?
So what is happening? It is moon is into the angle from Jupiter, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter is in the angle from moon. What does it mean? Jupiter is the value system, or Jupiter is the knowledge you have, right? And moon is into the angles or the kendras from that Jupiter. That means what knowledge you possess. People is appreciating that knowledge. Moon is in the Kendra from that knowledge, or the blessing which you have, or the wealth. So Jupiter is a karka of wealth, intelligence, activities, karma, fortune, religion, everything which you are having because of Jupiter. People or the moon is acknowledging, yes, this person has this. That's why it is said to be the greatest kind of Raj Yoga. You have the power of lion and elephant both. So these are the two powerful animals in the forest. That means whatever is being given to you, people know this. People is appreciating you about this. That's why it is very good, Raj.
So speaking of yogas, and I know we only have a few minutes left. I
We
wanted
have
to talk.
5 minutes left.
Yeah, five minutes. I don't even know where the time went. I feel like I just started 2 minutes ago, so I feel like I could listen to you all day long. Um, so speaking of yogas, when you look at this, do you also look at yogas in the divisional charts as well, or just and what's the difference? Is it just make that yoga more powerful if it tends to repeat itself in the divisional charts?
So obviously, yes, if the yoga is repeating in the divisional chart, then it is becoming very powerful for that particular divisional chart.
Right.
And so the yoga I will first see in the Lagna chart, and then you must have seen that okay, you have a Gaj Kesari in the Janma Lagna and a Amal Kirti in the Dashmach. So Gaj Kesari is not repeating, but there is one more Amal Kirti is coming in the Dashmach, right? What does it mean? When a planet is giving you a Raj Yoga in any D chart, it is specific to that particular aspect of your life, right? But if it is into a Raj Yoga in Janma Lagna and the it is very rare that the same Raj Yoga is repeating in the Navansha,
Right.
right? So
Right.
how I will see? I will see the power of those planets who are giving me that Raj Yoga. For example, Jupiter and Mercury is giving you a particular Raj Yoga, right? If those two planets are well placed in Navansha, that means they are getting strength in the Navansha. The the quantum of Raj Yoga in the Janma Lagna will be very high.
Mm-hmm.
If they are weak in the Navansha, they will still give you Raj Yoga, but it's like a normal Raj Yoga. So you are a good businessman, having a company of 10, 15 people, you are doing fine. In your society, in your world, people respect you, that okay, he is a very good businessman. But if those two planets are strength, everybody knows that then you can make a big enterprise, big company. That is the difference between Raj Yoga. So people who are running a company of 15, 20 people, they are also having a Raj Yoga, right? They are
Right.
also making millions. But the size of that Raj Yoga is to be decided by the strength of this planet into these D charts.
Right. So I think we probably have time for one more question, and what I wanted to end our session with is there's probably going to be some shifts, right? When Saturn, moves into Kumbh or into Aquarius, when Jupiter shifts into Aries, um, just generally speaking, when these big planets tend to move, there's a lot of energy that tends to shift. What can we look for? What are some things that we should be thinking about as these shifts take place in the coming months?
So if you say about Jupiter, obviously Jupiter is going into a friendly sign,
Yeah.
right? And Mars, it is going into a Mars energy. That means when Jupiter is into Aries, it is into a working mode. When it is into Pisces, it is distributing wisdom. So it
Yeah.
is more this year when Jupiter is into Pisces, it is more about getting more knowledge, learning more things, getting the highest knowledge. And Saturn is it will be much better in Aquarius than into Capricorn, right? Because it is its Mool Trikona Rashi. So it is now going to give rewards of what you have done into when he was into Capricorn. Because Capricorn is a Rashi of working. It is a Rashi of hard work, right? Whereas Aquarius is a Rashi of desire fulfillment,
Right.
right? It is in the 11th house of
11th.
Kalapurush.
Mm-hmm.
So the hard work which you do in Capricorn is rewarded in Aquarius. So I think people will get relief when Saturn will move into Aquarius, and that you must have observed also when it was in Aquarius for few
For the
months.
2 months, yes.
So it
Yes.
was a big release for all of those, like big release, and it was a very healthy time, very
Yes.
healthy time.
Yes. I can't wait. Well, Alokji, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I've really enjoyed this session. I don't
I
even know.
also enjoyed this. Like it was, we spent 1 hour. It was like
It felt like
next.
5 minutes. So I'm really looking forward to us doing more of these sessions. To our audience, thank you so much for joining us. If you have general questions, please feel free to share them in the comments. We'll definitely go through all of them. If you have feedback for our sessions and have ideas on what you'd like us to talk about, please let us know and we'll be sure to incorporate that as well for our next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Priya.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.